the sponsor of today's forum. Briefly, I wanted to thank everyone for your flexibility with the date change due to the severe weather that we had last weekend. I also wanted to thank the candidates and the volunteers for their flexibility and support to make this successful. Really appreciate everybody jumping in and just making this happen tonight. I also wanted to thank the Shelter Island School and for hosting us and accommodating the changes. And the League would especially like to recognize Lisa Shaw and Tom Hassigan for organizing the sound system. And I understand this year it's you can hear me fine. It sounds great. And he really took a lot of time. He set it up last Sunday, and Lisa and him came last Sunday and this Sunday to make this successful. So I really do appreciate it. And of course, all the additional volunteers that are here today, collecting questions, sitting at the registration table, and making sure that everybody knows what we're supposed to be doing today to make this successful for everybody. And of course, I would love, at this point, to thank Ms. Valerie Levenstein, if anybody doesn't know who she is. She's been responsible for not just past forums, but many Shelter Island events. She's actually been with the League of Women Voters for 20 years. And please, I mentioned a round of applause, but I also got her a bottle of wine and a card. And if you want to sign the card, please sign it. She will appreciate your words. Thanks. A short word about the League of Women Voters. The League is a nonpartisan, never promotes or endorses any candidates or any party. The League has no stake in the election outcome. Its only interest is to provide information to the voters. As you may know, the Independent Shelter League merged a few years ago with the larger Hamptons League. And the League of Women Voters is made up of both men and women. And so we welcome everybody to join. We appreciate having everybody from both parties, independents, everybody be members so they could help us put on these types of functions and events. A few important reminders regarding this year's election. Early voting begins Saturday, October 25th, and that's at the Legion Hall. And it's the last day to request an absentee ballot. The election day is Tuesday, November 4th, and you know that's here in the school. Also, as an important reminder, Mr. Greg Toner is on the ballot for town board, but he has removed himself from the race, and he requested that people do not vote for him. I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. This forum will be approximately 2 hours with a break. At the conclusion, the candidates will answer written questions submitted by you in the audience. So if you haven't taken a card, please take a card, fill it out, and make sure that someone gets that card, because we will be trying to get public questions as much as possible. Keep the questions respectful, and during the short break, the volunteers will be around to collect them. Please also remember that the forum will be recorded, thank you, Stephen, and available on Channel 22 and the Shelter Island YouTube channel. Now, let's get started. Please welcome our moderator, Ms. Joanne Bravati.
So this is going to be sort of another 5K. We've never done this with this many candidates. We're on a tight schedule, so I would ask everybody's indulgence, and hopefully we'll get this organized and running smoothly. So we do have 9 candidates today. 2 candidates running for town supervisor, 2 open seats on the town board, 2 candidates running for highway superintendent, and 2 running for the office of town clerk. Due to time limitations, we'll be breaking from our previous traditions, and the candidates will not be making opening statements. The panel will begin with 2 questions directed to the candidates running for town supervisor. There'll be the same question for each of the 2 candidates. No rebuttal is required. Then a lottery will determine the order of response to the alternating questions. Each of the 2 candidates, Gordon and Amber, will be asked a different question, and a rebuttal will be permitted. The process will be The process will be applied to each of the groups of candidates that will be speaking. For all questions, the candidate receiving the inquiry has up to 2 minutes to respond. The opposing candidates will have up to a 1-minute rebuttal if they choose to do so. You are not required to rebut. I may redirect a question to any of you if I don't feel that you've answered it properly. Finally, each candidate at the end of each round will deliver a 2-minute closing statement. So after Gordon and Amber, we finish with Town Supervisor. They will each deliver a closing statement before we move on to the Town Board. You should know that each candidate has signed the Fair Campaign Pledge Form and will be held to a fair and open debate without any inappropriate behavior, which we've never had here. And as far as the audience is concerned, please hold any applause, any clapping, anything, as Lois Morris always used to say, make your feelings known at the voting booth, not here today. 2 reminders to each of the candidates. Please, when you are answering, look down at the timers, not at me. There'll be people holding your 30-second warning and when you need to stop. So even though I'm asking you the question, look down at Valerie when you're answering. And finally, please, as Tom Hashagen said, kiss and step back as far as the microphone is concerned. This audio system is great, but please speak directly into it. All right, our candidates today for supervisor are Amber Brock-Williams, the Republican incumbent, Mr. Arnott, AKA Gordon Gooding, currently a member of the Town Board, Mr. Tom Cronin, Republican for Town Council, Liz Kelly, Democrat for Town Council, Margaret Larson, Republican incumbent for Town Council. Did I get everybody? Okay. Superintendent of Highways, Republican incumbent Ken Lewis, Republican Democrat challenger Mike Ryder. Town Clerk Shelby Mundy, Democrat, and Amber Williams, Republican. As Amos said, Greg Toner is on the ballot for the Democratic Town Board, but please do not vote for him. Okay, supervisor candidates, who's up first? Oh, this doesn't make any difference. All right. The projected town budget for 2026 has a 2.2% increase, but this uses approximately $405,000 from the general fund. How do you propose to minimize budget increases going forward without tapping the town's general fund?
Do you have a person to go first?
Go ahead.
Oh, me? Okay. All right. Yes, this year I have proposed a budget so far, and the town board is working on it, with a 2.2% increase, and it does utilize $405,000 worth of fund balance, but I have analyzed that fund balance, and before we have the 2026 pull from fund balance, we have 31% of fund balance available. So after this year's pull, it'll be down to 28%. The government, GFOA, which I can never remember what it stands for, recommends that towns have 16 to 17%. So we do have cushion there going forward. We do need to continue to work on the budget in future years to trim it as much as possible to properly reflect revenues. But we do need to be careful, but we are not in any fiscal crisis.
Thank you. Gordon, how do you propose to minimize budget increases going forward without tapping the town's general fund?
Okay. Let me just start off with this. I sort of want to take a little credit for the 2.2 budget by the mere fact that I'm running this year against the supervisor. In terms of the fund balance, okay, we really have to avoid, we've been taking fund balance for a number of years, okay? I think we've worked as a board to really reduce it. I think what we need to do is we really need to stop some of the spending we have. Unfortunately, I wanted to start the budget earlier in the year, similar to how the school board is handling their budget at this time. They're discussing the budget earlier so that they can get an early start on it. Obviously, right now we're running out of time with the election coming and the due dates on the budget. the way to really reduce our budget, okay, is really to look at each department and go line by line and we have done some of those things already. The main crux here is that I think we really just need to take a look at what we're spending. And it's not about what last year's budget is, it's really what we need going forward. I think there's lots of space in it, and in this year's budget, we've looked at certain items, and there's still more room to move it downward. Thank you.
Okay. For the first time since 2021, this year's property assessments reflected a 100% market value, which will result in significant property tax increases for many residents. How would you propose a way to better manage this process in the future? Gordon?
Okay, I think first of all, the public needs to be aware, okay, this full assessment was not a mandate by the state. The island had been on full assessment for many years, okay, and we got behind, okay, because we had a lack of a person in a department. There was someone that we changed how the assessor's office was handled. It was not an elected position, and we hired somebody. That person was left his position, and we in fact had to buy him out of his contract. And as a result of that, we didn't have money to really continue the full assessment because we were missing an assessor. I'm sorry, could you repeat the
Yes.
that question?
For the first time since 2021, this year's property assessments reflected a 100% market value, which will result in significant property tax increases for many residents. How would you propose a way to better manage this process in the future?
Well, going back to the beginning of the year, I always felt, and I really did ask for a better communication relative to the full assessment. I think a lot of people were caught off guard because there was no preliminary discussion over what it was. And I think that, I just think we just need to look at it earlier on. But I mean, we have full assessment right now, and I think it's really more a matter of really the board being a little bit more transparent how these things come about. Thank you.
Amber? Need me to repeat the question?
No, there's so much to unpack here. The transparency, this process of the revaluation has been discussed over the past 3 years. We did have change in personnel going from elected to appointed, but that wasn't the cause of the problem. It was just getting out of the pandemic and then moving forward with doing the reval. It took time for the staff there to do it. Also, a lot of people, I think my opponent included, don't really understand how the assessment works. It moved and made it fair for the entire island community to be at 100% assessed value. That meant some properties that were over-assessed, like waterfront properties, only went up 50%, whereas other properties had been under-assessed and in the center of the island went up 100% assessed value. So the sensitivity is that we want to make sure when we're doing revaluations that we keep it fair for everybody, and it had been unfair for a number of years. Going forward, we want to continue to look at all of the properties and make sure that we do a continual reassessment every year, revaluation every year, so that it remains fair in perpetuity.
Thank you. Okay. Gordon? Yeah, these questions, you have a 2-minute response, and if desired, the opponent has a 1-minute rebuttal. At present, there is no affordable housing on the island. How do you propose to create truly affordable housing and make it accessible to full-time Shelter Island residents?
Well, listen, the affordable housing referendum passed a couple of years ago. We have a nice balance in their bank account. We're moving forward at this time, okay, with a vendor. It's moving forward. I think we have to explore that. I think that we definitely do need it. I think that it may not address everyone at this particular time, but we really have to include, we need housing. We need housing for people with low income. We need housing for staff housing. Housing is a very, very big issue, and we are addressing it at this time.
Amber, you want to rebut?
If you could just repeat the question,
Sure.
please.
At present, there is no affordable housing on the island. How do you propose to create truly affordable housing and make it accessible to full-time Shelter Island residents?
I think that what we've been working on with the ADU Plus One program, while those individual units do not need to be affordable in their year-round rentals, and they must be year-round rentals, they do keep islanders who meet a certain income threshold on the island by letting them build an ADU. We are also working on building 10 units on 3 parcels of town-owned property. So that will add to the rental stock. We're also working on pulling together a survey with some community development block grant money so that we can reassess and see how the community housing plan continues to move forward, probably with a focus on sale homes as well as focusing more on seniors, although seniors can be included in the rentals that we're working on for the 10 units. So I think we're going forward in some building, ADU Plus One, and the 10 units, as well as looking towards the future.
Thank you. The most recent draft of the Town Wetlands Code proposed revisions, removing the causeway development restrictions from the code. Gordon, what is your opinion of the draft as it stands now?
As it stands now, I don't think that's a good idea. I think we should leave the code exactly the way it is. And when we've delayed the comprehensive plan for a number of years now. We've accommodated within our budget. It's been sort of stalled. I think that needs to move forward, and hopefully, okay, that does move forward, and that should be included in it. In that comprehensive plan.
I'm sorry, Amber, that was actually your question, but do you want to rebut, and then I'll give you 2 questions?
Yes, that's fine. That's fine. With respect to the wetlands legislation, it is in subcommittee now being drafted, and it's not before the entire town board, so it's being looked at. I want to continue to let that process finish. It seems like it's taken longer than expected to get to the town board, but when we get to looking at the removal of the causeway segment, I do want to look at that carefully. And when it comes to the town board in its first draft, I want to take the two side by side and look at it to see what is it that we are gaining by removing it, what are we losing if we take it out. So, or vice versa. I understand what I'm saying. Thank you.
Okay, Amber. In January of 2025, the town board discussed a, quote, priority list. The list never made it past an incomplete draft. What are your top 3 priorities for the next year and why?
Okay, top priorities are wastewater. We do have a $1.25 million grant from the federal government, and we need to, it's for municipal wastewater. So we do need to look at that, and we need to look at it and spend it wisely. Right now, the proposal that's being bandied about a little bit is just looking at Justice Court and the police department. If we just look at those 2 properties, we will not take advantage of the full $1.25 million. So we have to broaden and make sure that we look at it correctly. We're not at risk of losing it, as it's been quoted by my opponent numerous times, that we lost it, we got it back, we lost it. DOJ did pull it, but it did get properly reinstated because it is a shovel project. It's not a consultant coming in and taking a look at things for us. So that's one priority. Housing, as was just discussed a minute ago, super important. We are working to make sure that that moves forward. I'm glad to hear that Gordon agrees now that the comp plan has been stagnated a little bit. On May 2nd, when I brought it up for a work session, he said that why was this on the agenda, that this was a distraction from other work. So I'm glad to hear that it's no longer a distraction and that we can get back to it. Meg and I have been working with staff to make sure that we get all of the comments that we looked at last year with the town board incorporated into the draft so that we can bring it back to the town board and then to the public so that we can start to have public hearings and move forward with that. We have $100,000 in the budget for an environmental impact statement study, so that money will roll over, and we will continue to make sure that that happens along with moving the comp plan forward.
Okay, Gordon, did you want to do that?
Yes.
Your top 3 priorities?
Well, my top priority is obviously, okay, to control our spending, control our development from what we seem to be going through right now, and obviously affordable housing. But I'd like to just comment on this wastewater or the center buildings. This thing has been, since we went through the sewer district, or we're trying to create a sewer district, a lot of time has gone by. Last year, nothing was done with it. This year, we've been delayed with it. I think this stalling has to stop, and I think that we should get this done. That is really a top priority. And in terms of the looking at what needs to be done in the center, you've had the opportunity to take a look at it. You walk the property, and I think it's way too long. We need to get this done.
Amber, for over a year, a town subcommittee has been meeting to discuss revisions to the irrigation section of the town code. What revisions need to be made to the irrigation section, and how do you think they should be enforced?
Again, that irrigation code is in subcommittee, so 2 town board members work on it with other staff from the town. So I have not looked at it closely. I'm waiting to see what it looks like when it comes out of subcommittee. But quite honestly, I've been more focused on we need to fix wetlands, we need to fix site plan review. We've had a lot of things on our plate, we're trying to work towards getting wastewater and things. So when it comes back to us, I think we do need to begin to phase out well-fed irrigation systems and convert to cistern-only irrigation systems. We had a moratorium a number of years ago. The town board at the time, I was not a part of it, did let that expire, and I think that that was a mistake. There was an opportunity back then when no one was using those well-fed irrigation systems to phase them out, and unfortunately that didn't happen, so it will be left to this town board or a future town board to pick it up again.
Gordon?
It's easy to send that back to these different committees, but I'm going to tell you really my take on it. It obviously can change pending the return from the subcommittee, but we have trucked water on the island. How much longer do we think that's going to take place? Okay, and I think relative to the irrigation for turf, I think that should really be eliminated. I see no reason for it. And I think we really do need to take a look at our aquifer and spend some time and have a real deep look at our water issues here. Obviously, we've had some things going on with Gardens Bay Country Club, and it's really not about holding anybody back, but we really need to look at our water since it's such a serious thing here on the island. And we've had the funding to do some of this stuff. That's a priority for me. Thank you.
Transparency is a term that's been used over the past several years.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Transparency.
Okay.
What can you do to improve transparency for the public and town board if you are elected supervisor?
If I'm elected, transparency is really the number one thing. I think that, first of all, the existing members of the board should all be included in a lot of discussions and a lot of things that are going on. With the public, I think that, having agendas and out so late and then searching for where the attached documents are, that it would be a real priority on my part. I think that it is a real big issue because many times I'm a new board member and I find out things at the end of the situation. I'll give you a little example, and I don't know whether you know this, okay, but my first experience being on the town board was with an employee complaint, okay, that had been with the board for probably over 2 years, okay? And when it was never really brought to this board member until a suit took place and it became legal. That's the kind of transparency I'm going to take care of. The rules apply to everyone. There is no favoritism here in this town. We have to be transparent, and I think the public can handle the truth.
Transparency.
Oh, no, I lost my mic for a second.
Are you okay?
Yes, it's on back on. I would disagree that all town board members are not included. We have to operate out in the public eye, so town board work sessions, that is the time when we bring everything to the rest of the town board. So if someone is working on a subcommittee thing, that's when they're supposed to come and let us know. And that, with the pharmacy recently, I know I was criticized because I didn't bring the town board up to speed. I brought them up to speed on Tuesday at the work session. With respect to agendas out late, we get agendas out on Fridays. Attachments are sent out by our legislative clerk. She makes sure the town board members have it. Every document is on the website for people to find under agendas. If you don't know how to use it, reach out to our legislative clerk. She will help you.
No? Okay. You only get one.
Okay.
Okay. Amber, final question. How would you support strengthening local business and the year-round economy?
It has been stated that some people feel that only residential properties, since they pay the majority of the taxes, should have the final say in how our town operates. But if we are truly to have a community, we do need to include our businesses, and we need to make sure that when we're dealing with them, that we aren't being overly onerous with the legislation, site plan review, things that we do in order for someone to actually get into business on the island. We need to make sure that we have some options for affordable housing so that people can hire staff. That is the biggest issue that I hear when talking to businesses, that bringing staff in, they're commuting from far distances, they don't need to work here, they can stop and work at a restaurant on the way to Shelter Island, they don't have to come all the way to Shelter Island. So we have to also just look at some of the criticisms that businesses face constantly. No one wants to come here and start something new if they feel that they're going to have to go through site plan review 4 times before we come to a conclusion, because town board members don't take the time to do the homework and come up with the questions that need to be asked in the first or second public hearing and have to wait to the 4th public hearing in order to be able to move forward with finishing up what they need to do in order to start their businesses.
Gordon?
Well, the first thing that I think we need to do is have a better relationship with our businesses. We need to know, particularly with these large firms, okay, who really have very little commitment to our community, okay, we should know their whereabouts. When we talk about the pharmacy, okay, I think what came to my mind is when Jack's closed, okay, that would have been the time to really reach out to find out what's going on. I would want to work with these people, and I would like to work with the Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to work with the realtors. I want to know firsthand what's going on in the town. I think these folks that are coming here, we have to ask what are our residents and what are our people here, what are we getting from all of this expansion, and what are the risks of new people coming in and spending money and closing a pharmacy after less than a week.
All right, your closing statements. You get to choose.
That'd be my guess.
Okay, who goes first? Who's got a 1 on their list? All right, Gordon, you have 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Okay. Joanne, thank you for moderating, and the League of Women Voters, thank you for hosting this event today, and obviously the school for allowing us to be here. As you know, I have had listening sessions on a monthly basis at the Island, and as luck would have it, a mystery gentleman stopped by this day and handed me a slip of paper with his name and address and asked that I stop by his home. I did not know what to expect, but I met him and his wife. To my relief, he did not want to register a complaint. The family had a small home on the island for 40 years. They talked about their love affair with Shelter Island. They had grandchildren now, and they wanted their children, the grandchildren, to enjoy the wonders of the next generation of the wonders of the island. The conversation developed into one I'm sure you've heard before. Wow, the island has changed so much. Big houses, tree clearing everywhere, high-end restaurants, which moved onto the recent tax increases, insurance, and a new library on the way. He said, Gordon, where is this going? Am I going to have enough money to afford this for me in the future? Folks, that's why I'm running for office. That's why I want to be the supervisor. I want to be able to control our town expenses. I want to control the need for spending, control development. I want to protect our environment. I want to create a management structure that serves the employees and the community. If you have the same goals as I have, you have a chance this year to change the leadership and to protect our way of life. I thank you, and I look forward to your vote in November. Thank you.
Thank you. Amber?
Thank you to the League of Women Voters, the audience, and the viewers who will be watching this later for coming out and trying to make an informed decision about who you want to vote for. The question before you this year is simple. With the term of supervisor being a 1 year this election cycle, who do you want to re-elect? Re-elect someone with experience, especially the important role of supervisor with budgeting, fund balance, and understanding how the revaluation and reassessment impacted everybody. Someone who's been consistent and steady at the helm. Or do you want to elect someone who admittedly at meetings will say, I don't understand what's going on, or doesn't understand the process of how government works with respect to meeting resolutions and public hearings and things like that? Do you want to go through that learning curve in a 1 year term? The supervisor position does play an important role. You do try and set the stage, and it's been admittedly a difficult 2 years. We had a divided board for a little while. We have a team approach, which is divisive. Who's on whose team. It's not a group that wants to move forward collectively. So I ask that you please, in addition to voting for me, hopefully you will on November 4th, but also elected a group of people for the town board in total that will move together, because we are a community. We need one another. We need to consider everybody, whether it's the homeowners, the businesses, people who need affordable housing. We need to all work together. Everybody has a role in this community in keeping Shelter Island the way that we should. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, if you would sit in the back, and the 3 candidates for town board come up. And please sit in the order that you drew your little orange pieces of paper. We have Tom Cronin, Liz Hanley, and Meg Larson. Okay, the first question you are each going to answer. 2 minutes, no rebuttals. Tom, ADUs, or accessory dwelling units, have been proposed as a potential solution to the town's housing shortage. Specifically, how do you propose to balance ADUs with environmental concerns like water, septic, etc.?
So, I am in favor of the ADU project. What I'm not in favor of, and I have a little bit of pushback from, is building them in the waterfront areas. I don't think that I call it near shore overlay, but that's too expansive. Near the water, it's just the aquifer is too shallow, you have the sewage leaching too much into the bays. So I'm in favor of ADUs, but not near the water. And I think it's important to keep it affordable. I think that's a help. But I also would like to see how many of those that have been built or are going to be built are put into the affordable rental program and not just for family. It's just an interesting number I would like to find out.
Okay, that's it?
That's it.
All right, Liz, do you want me to repeat the question?
Yeah, if you could.
ADUs, or accessory dwelling units, have been proposed as a potential solution to the town's housing shortage. Specifically, how do you propose to balance ADUs with environmental concerns like water, septic, etc., if you are elected?
Well, we've done some great work with ADUs. You know, this really came up during the community housing plan. It was a solution that the community came to us that they thought would be a great fit. I think we have kind of a libertarian bent here. So I think people were a little nervous about the government getting involved in housing. So it seemed natural to have our local homeowners get involved to help solve our housing issue. So when this came up with the housing plan, I was able to go to New York State and secure $3.5 million to bring into this community to help local homeowners build ADUs. Now, to your question about water and septic, now ADUs, just by virtue of just the building code and zoning, are not able to be built in the near shore overlay, and so they are subject to all the building codes and environmental regulations that all of our building is. Now, I know that some of that is up for, renewal or, taking another look at it with the comp plan. So it'll be interesting to see if we want to put in more stringent requirements. That's something that the community could do. But right now, they are subject to all the water and sewage zoning that we already have. So I think it's been a great solution for the community.
Okay? Do you need me to repeat the question?
No, I got it. I think the ADU program is actually working very well. It helps families have a second source of income on their property, but it also tends to trigger an IA septic upgrade. So whenever you're expanding the bedroom count on your house, you have to evaluate your current sanitary system to see if it meets the new standards. Most of the time it doesn't, and in our town code we've made it so that if you're doing an expansion of that size, you have to upgrade your septic system. So not only are you getting that additional living space, but you're also getting a better sanitary system for that property. Typically it includes both the primary and the accessory dwelling, so that's a bonus. The other thing is that the ADUs are required to be rented year-round. So they cannot be used as short-term rentals or holiday or seasonal rentals, which is also a bonus because if someone's living in the house year-round, their usage pattern for their water and their septic is much different than if you have a holiday rental. So if you have a holiday rental, people are going to take many showers because they're going to the beach, they're going out to dinner, they're going back and forth, they're playing, they're on vacation. If you have a working family in an accessory dwelling unit, even if it's just one person, they're working. So they're going to have minimal usage there compared to someone who's out on holiday. So they'll have a regular pattern of, you wake up in the morning, you have your breakfast, you take your shower, you go to work, you come home, you take your shower, and you're done. Unlike a holiday, where you'll have extra people crammed in there, it's vacation mode. People are going to go to the beach. So you have a more consistent usage of both the water and the septic, and you'll have an upgraded septic. So it's beneficial all around, I think.
Thank you. Okay, Tom, the proposed upgrades to the septic systems for the town municipal buildings has stalled. Some feel the upgrade should wait until a master plan is approved. Others feel that the upgrades should proceed ASAP on some of the buildings before the awarded grant money is lost again. Excuse me. What do you feel is the best way forward and why?
I'm in favor of waiting for the master plan, only because I hate to see money put into a building that has to be torn back out and moved somewhere else to, we don't know what we're doing with it yet. Are we going to put in a water district? Are we going to put in a new IA septic system for each building. We're going to put in a townwide sewer in that area. I think there's way too many unknowns at this time. So I would like a master plan. I think that's important. And from what I see now, you have the police department, the justice court, you have the town hall, you have the Legion Hall, you have the library. They're all looking for expansions or changes or improvements. We need a master plan so we know what we're doing, where we're putting people, and I just hate to see money thrown away willy-nilly without having that plan.
Okay, thank you. Liz?
This is a hard one. So we have to address the wastewater in the center. We've just got to. But the thing that I think is interesting that no one talks about, or that I haven't heard talked about as much, is that we're actually under a county mandate to deal with the drinking water. And we kind of keep pushing that out every year. So it's been 2 years, and we tell the county that it's going to be tied in with the wastewater treatment, but then we kind of like don't do either. And what this brings to me is just, we need a plan. I think we need a municipal plan for the center. I think similar to Tom, it just makes me sick to waste money, and it's a lot of money. And we have such an amazing opportunity in the center of town. We've got these municipal buildings, and they need some love. We've got a lot, we could do something cool. We're just seeing the kind of economic collapse of the middle of town, and we could use this opportunity to turn that around. So we could, maybe if we just spent this money once the right way, we could do something really interesting. We could do an IA system, there's our wastewater system, we could deal with the water, and maybe we could do something really interesting. We could get those municipal buildings in better repair. Maybe we could put some storefronts in, maybe we could put some apartments above it. If we had a bigger plan, if we had a little bit more vision, if we were a little bit more proactive, instead of like knee-jerk reactive to everything, we could do it. Now that said, we're gonna have to do it a little bit more quickly than we've been doing it, but I think we could do something really amazing.
Thank you. Meg?
Contrary to what some people keep saying, I do not think that there is an immediate need to fix the septic systems at the police department and justice court. The major contributors to the problem in the center were the library and the school, and those have already been taken care of. Justice court puts out just about as much wastewater as one person living in their house year-round, and that's it. Police department's not much better. So those are not huge contributors. But what we do need is a plan. We need a plan for how we're going to handle all of our town buildings before we go and use the money that we have, and it's not going to go away, to fix this problem. I mean, we can't, or at least it doesn't make sense, to upgrade a septic system on a building that is only used twice a month when there's so many other things that need to happen. We do have to tie the water in with the wastewater. There is no other option. No matter what, the health department standards can't be met unless we figure out a pretty much universal solution for both. This is going to require significant planning. It's going to require an analysis of all of our buildings, and this is where the facility master plan comes in, and this is something that Amber and I have been saying for the last 2 years we need to get done and we need to move forward. And we have had consultants come out and give us ideas. We do have an RFP ready to go out to get consultants to come in and help us with this plan. What we need to do is evaluate the usage of all the buildings and the needs of the community so that whatever we do come up with can suit everybody's needs.
Thank you. Okay. Tom, you remember? Tom will answer this first question. Liz and Meg, if you want, you have opportunity for a 1-minute rebuttal, and then we'll go down the line. The most recent draft of the proposed revisions to the Town Wetlands Code has removed the causeway development restrictions from the code. What is your opinion of the draft as it stands now?
Brutally honest, I don't know much about the code as it stands now with that. Basically, you can't build on it. From what I understand, they want to remove it, but you still can't build on it. But to be honest, I just don't have that information.
Okay. Thank you for being honest.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
For First of all, is this the question, this is the question from the supervisors? You wanted to ask it to us as well?
Yes?
Okay, cool, just checking. I think that the wetlands revision and so many of the things that we are seeing are these little Band-Aids, right? We're looking at like, oh, how should we deal with the wetlands and the causeways, and we're doing the site plan revisions. But all those things should be flowing from the comp plan, from that vision of the comp plan. And I guess I just take exception to these are important questions that we do need to handle, but why are we doing them so piecemeal? Shouldn't it be coming from the comp plan?
I'm going to agree with Liz, we do need to finish the comp plan, but I'll also answer the question. So I'm on the subcommittee that's working on the wetlands code, and we removed the causeway district because there are no longer any buildable lots on the causeway. The town CPF property purchased the last property that had a buildable envelope. So we analyzed every lot and determined that since no more were buildable, we didn't need that 7 pages in the code. And so when we also made the rest of the revisions, it actually sort of mimicked the restrictions already in the Causeway District. So we didn't feel like it was necessary to keep all of that extensive code in there when there was no longer a need for it.
Thank you.
That's
Okay.
what I said.
Okay, Liz, the last time the board discussed the comprehensive plan with the public, here you go, was June 2024. 4 out of the 5 current board members were in office at the time. What do you think needs to be done to restart the comp plan? And if you're elected, how would you go about it? Do you think that the data from 2020 or earlier should be updated with more current information?
So I think we're never going to get through it if it's not on the agenda every week. I mean, it's just as simple as that. So if elected, I would push to just have it on the agenda every time. We're just going to have to do it. They were making pretty good progress doing it chapter by chapter. That's just how we're going to have to do it. Now, about that data, I'm sure some will be good. Some we might have to revisit. So, but again, we're not going to know unless we get in there. Just look at it every week, chapter by chapter. The public has done the work. They've done the sessions. They've given us our feedback, and now it's time for the town board to do our work.
Meg?
I've been doing this for 5 years now, so I have this document memorized. We finished the chapter by chapter review. We're on the final chapter, which is chapter 11, and that's the chapter where we are coordinating all of the recommendations in the previous chapters into that last chapter, making sure pages match, making sure the recommendations are in the right areas. And so right now what we're doing is cleaning up the document before it goes out to the public. So that cleaning process is not necessarily happening at the table because that would be tedious and time consuming and it really wouldn't benefit anybody. So we are moving it forward. My goal is to hopefully be able to set a public hearing before the end of the year.
Okay. Tom?
So I do think that it needs to be on the agenda, not every week, just a monthly follow-up. Remember, it's just a guide. It's not the Bible. It's just a guide. So is it important? Yes. Is it something that everyone should be hanging their hat on and oh my God, we can't move on without this? No. It needs to be on the agenda, yes. It needs to continue to be worked on, otherwise it gets the mothballs and it's gone forever. But a monthly check-in is my opinion. Because meetings are 5-6 hours long now. You can't keep going in the way they're going with the meetings.
Okay. And do you think the data should be updated?
Do I think the data should? For now, no. Keep it going, because if we start waiting for updated data, we're back to a stall.
Okay. Meg? Shelter Island has many seniors and senior services. What do you think the town could do to help seniors stay in their home or even provide senior housing accommodation so that portion of our population can afford to stay here?
I've had quite a few brainstorms about this. One of the ideas that I have, and I'm not sure how to make it work yet, but I would like to have a cluster of sort of rental units just for seniors. And I know that there are a lot of seniors in the community who are living alone in a house. They may not have family that they can leave it to. It may be reverse mortgage. but I would love to give them the opportunity to sell their house to the town, to the housing program, and move into one of those apartments. And then we could then flip that house into the affordable housing program, either as a first-time home buyer or as a rental property. So somehow I want to figure out a way to create a stock of housing just for seniors and have them somehow buy equity into it. That could be kind of a perpetuating process. Otherwise, I do think that with the ADU Plus One program, that does give seniors an opportunity to have a rental apartment on their property. Like either they can move into and rent their home so that they have income, or they can have a caregiver move in with them on that property. So I think that those are some of the ways we can handle it. One idea is obviously a lot larger and requires more work, but you know, I like to think big.
Great. Tom?
So this is where Liz and I differ. I don't agree with her plan. She's done immense work on it, I respect. But I would rather see us build our own houses, own our own houses, and let's say we put a 4-bedroom house in the back of one of the lots, like right down here on by Marcello's Masonry. Out front, you build a little 2-bedroom. Why 2-bedroom? You could put a senior in there and also have a room for a caregiver as that senior ages and needs help. And how to afford all this? One option, I think, is you have a senior that has a $1.5 million house, can't afford it anymore, they're really struggling. They sell that house and they give, let's come up with a percentage. 20% of the proceeds goes to the town. That money goes into the affordable housing program to buy more land or build more houses. That's just a real quick synopsis of what I have.
Okay. Liz?
There's so many opportunities for seniors and probably as many different options as there are seniors. I think that one of the great things is the ADU program. So many of the seniors that I know, speak to like my grandmother, even though probably would it have been wiser for her to give up that big house and move into a smaller apartment? Yes. Would she? Absolutely not. So I think programs like the ADU program, being able to have somebody there with them can be great. There's also so many programs in different towns, similar to some of the stuff that Meg has talked about, that I really think that we can explore.
Okay. Staying on the topic of ADUs and affordable housing. ADUs, affordable housing in private new construction, is taking place or being planned all around the island. This is to Tom. Do you think we need more controlled growth? And if you are elected, and the answer is yes, what would you propose?
Well, we already have the laws, so you can't build a house unless you're within the specs, the parameters. But back to the affordable housing aspect, there's a discussion about possibly doing a water district, possibly in the center of town. If that were to come to fruition, I would like to see it run down to that property again by Marcelo. And I'm sure there's hoops and you need a genie to make it work, but put up a 6 or an 8-unit apartment like Meg is talking about and have your water brought in and make affordable rentals for seniors where they have a community right there where they can get the help they need to have the people, a little community area. But it obviously takes money. And we're in good shape monetarily, so.
What do you think? Do you think that we need more controlled growth on the island as a whole?
I don't know how you do that. Right now, you're building in places that I think are not, maybe I wouldn't want to build in a hole. But they're finding illegal ways to do it. And I mean, aside from buying the property from them, what is really our control of that? I'm not a person to step into somebody's front yard and start taking from them. I don't like government. Government overreach kills me. So no, I don't want to start kicking people off their property because I don't agree with it.
Okay. You got?
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Sure.
I got you confused.
ADUs,
Where did you go?
ADUs, affordable housing, and private new construction taking place or being planned all around the island. Do you think we need more control of growth? And if yes, what would you propose if you're elected?
I think that we do have a lot of controls. I think that there can always be more. And, I think obviously we have to watch out for our aquifer. We only have that to drink. But what we actually need to be thinking about, in my view, is some incentives for affordable housing. So we've talked a lot here about the town getting involved, which I think we're going to have to be part of the solution. But how can we incentivize private homeowners to be part of the solution? You know, to Tom's point about government overreach, I think that the solution for affordable housing has to be a mix. So how do we help our residents become part of the solution?
But what about controlled growth in general? Do you think we need to
Control more? I don't know, probably maybe a little bit around the aquifer, but you know,
Okay.
mostly I'm worried about the opposite.
Okay.
One of the things that we could do is look at each community and see if there are vacant lots in that community that could be purchased by CPF to help keep some open space in each area, especially lots that are being used to collect runoff. So like holes, or, you shouldn't be building your house in a hole, I guess. But those do typically end up being drainage areas for that community that help recharge that part of the aquifer. So those are things that, CPF should probably be looking at and considering. They wouldn't typically be super expensive purchases, but they would benefit that area. Otherwise, it's looking at our zoning code, and we did put a cap on 6,000 square foot houses. Now you need to go to the zoning board, which is a much higher level of appeal to get approval. So we did put that in place, but, we'll have to keep looking.
Okay, thank you. Liz, for over a year, a town subcommittee has been meeting to discuss revisions to the irrigation section of the town code. And yes, this is similar to the supervisor question. In your opinion, what revisions need to be made to that section of the code, and how do you think it should be enforced?
Good one. So I will admit that I have not been closely following the subcommittee's work. I keep pretty busy with housing. But in general, what I think about for irrigation is that, really we've seen the big issue that's come up, right, with Gardener's Bay. Like that's kind of maybe what we're all have top of mind. And we need to figure out a way that we can protect our aquifer and also help some of these businesses who, quite frankly, depend on irrigation, do keep their golf courses green or whatever that is in an environmentally responsible way. There's all sorts of interesting things out there, like rainwater cisterns, solutions. I'm not an environmental scientist, so I probably don't have them. But how do we work with our business owners to come up with environmentally friendly solutions to some of their irrigation challenges?
Okay, Meg?
So shocker, I'm on this subcommittee too. So one of the things that we're looking
Busy
at,
woman.
yes, I won't deny it. One of the things that we're looking at is there's a sundowning clause for well-drawn irrigation and nearshore overlay, because there's a concern that that does cause salting of people's wells, especially neighbors, if that irrigation system is abused. So that's something that we're looking at, is how do we kind of enforce the sundowning of that condition. Do you require cisterns? What changes do we make, and then what are the impacts of those? Is that going to require more trucked on water? What's the impact of that? So maybe we need to allow more collection of runoff from your roof and other areas into your cistern to irrigate. So it's just one of the things that we're looking at with the irrigation code, but that was kind of the catalyst for looking.
Tom?
All right, here goes negative Nancy. So, irrigation. I take care of many houses on the island, and what I've come to find out is people really don't care. They want a green lawn, and it doesn't matter. They have splitters on splitters, with sprinklers going everywhere. You're not allowed to have in-ground sprinklers. They don't care. They put them in anyway. The enforcement is near impossible. You water at night. How do you enforce it? It's a huge challenge, and no matter how many times I talk to people and say, you're going to salt your well, you're going to salt your well, they don't get it. They don't care. You can educate. I handed out pamphlets that Lisa Shaw gave me. I put them in all the houses. They don't care. So how do you enforce it? Maybe monetarily, you're going to go after them with big fines once you catch them, but it's a very difficult process. And they're just going to continue to fill cisterns with hoses and stuff because, once again, there is maybe a meter on everyone's house, but once again, you got government intrusion.
Okay. Last question. Meg, preliminary discussions are taking place with the WQI. And the WQI, for those of us not in the know, is the Water Quality Improvement Advisory Board. So preliminary discussions are taking place to add business or commercial properties to the town rebate program for IA systems. Do you believe WQI funds should be used for commercial uses? Why or why not?
This is tricky because I have to recuse myself from these types of questions. What I can tell you is that commercial systems are far more expensive than residential systems, so it's something for the committee to consider. But since I can't really weigh in because I've been working with the county on these programs since 2017, I can't give you my opinion.
Okay. Thank you. Tom?
I'm in favor of it. I mean, I know the big push to get the septic systems replaced, and I get it. I don't think we should fund the entire project, but at least what we give a homeowner, we could give a commercial establishment. At least give them some incentive to do the work. But we couldn't afford to give them the whole shebang.
Liz?
I'm in favor. I think we need to do something to make we need to do many things to make this island a little bit more pro-business, especially pro-local small business, and so I think that's a place we can start.
Okay. Closing statements. We'll start with Tom. You each have 2 minutes, and there is no rebuttal.
For the record, I was given number 3, and they took it back and gave me number 1. All right.
I could make a joke, but
Thank you, everyone who made today possible. I'm going to talk real fast because I know them. Thank you to my wife, Sue, for supporting my ideas, even the crazy ones, and for going through this process with me yet again. I am truly blessed to have grown up here. I've gone to school here, served as a police officer here for 22 years, and most importantly, I raised my kids here. I care deeply about this community. I don't like to see government overreach into people's backyards. I don't like massive houses built in a small neighborhood blocking the sun from their neighbors. Our code is a mess, and it needs to be addressed. When elected, I will make informed decisions and not let issues drag on for years. I will fight to keep spending in check. I'm proud to have the support from Democrats, Independents, and Republicans alike. I've been listening, learning, and taking advice from people across the political spectrum because a leader is only as good as his or her team. Here are a few of my priorities. I would like to do a feasibility study to merge the fire department and the ambulance, similar to how it was when before the Red Cross took over. I would also like to do a feasibility study into using insurance for billing for ambulance calls. This could potentially bring in a couple $100,000 a year to offset the expenses of our paramedics. Anyone without insurance would not be charged, according to my plan. And they charge ambulance calls all over the nation. I will work with town leadership to secure a permanent location for a new pharmacy if needed. And while we should not be in the pharmacy business, we may be able to provide a location such as in addition to the medical building. I would like to meet with the DEC to discuss controlled burns of our fields and open spaces and start fighting the ticks again. I have a different approach, which we've discussed, so I'll skip that, for affordable housing. And all I want to say is thank you again for listening, Karen, and giving me this opportunity.
thank you. Liz?
Can I stand up?
You may.
Can I have that mic? Yeah.
Tom, is that a problem?
So, guys, we need to make a plan here because we are on the wrong path. Our housing is becoming more unaffordable. Our working families can't stay here. Our seniors are getting priced out. We are dealing with the erosion of our local economy. All you have to do is look outside these doors or perhaps go to the Heights. All the money and the resources that flood into this island in the summer seem to wash out like the tide, with less and less money staying on this island every year. And I don't want to alarm anyone, but it's not going to get better on its own. And when we don't have enough volunteers to field a fire department or an EMS, and we face a massive tax increase to pay for a professional department, or what if we lose enough working families that we don't have enough children to keep this school open? Are we even recognizable as the same place? Is that something that we can come back from? And how long before these questions are on us? Now, we can turn this around, and I'm here because I think I can help. We can have more affordable housing. We can have a vibrant center of town, but we're going to have to focus on what's important, keeping people here. We're going to have to be proactive and not reactive. And I've shown through my work with the Community Housing Board that I can bring in financial resources, I can navigate complicated government bureaucracies to do big things. I can bring people together to make sure that we're solving the right problems. Shelter Island can be a place where seniors and workers and families can live and thrive year-round. And I know it's hard.
That's my favorite part.
Did I just turn it off? No, okay. I'm not going to stand up. I don't trust myself to not fall down. So, I just want to start by thanking everybody. The League of Women Voters, the school for letting us use the space, my fellow candidates who go through the ringer with us every year, and everybody who's here today and who comes to the work sessions and listens to the board meetings and feels my pain. Thank you. I truly enjoy this job. I know that sounds crazy when you think of some of the things that we come up against, but I like the challenge. I enjoy the community and I love serving the community. I work hard to learn what I need to know in order to be the best representative of you guys, the people that I can be. And I would be honored if you would continue letting me do that. So I don't have much more to say other than let me know what you think we need to work on, and I'm right there to help you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, you take your seats, and our two candidates for highway superintendent. Okay, we have Ken Lewis, our incumbent, running on the Republican line, and Mike Ryder on the Democratic line. First question, this is for both of you. Ken, why are you running for re-election as highway superintendent?
Well, quite frankly, because I love the job. I'm committed to this community. I was very fortunate from the beginning. You know, this has been it's a career choice for me, really. I started this job 11 years ago, working on the highway department, working for Jay Card, and very early on into my tenure with Jay, I started to take a real interest in what Jay was doing in the position, and I made it my job to learn about what Jay did on the inside, from the office standpoint and from a managerial standpoint. I was fortunate enough to have a great mentor in Jay, and then continue on with Brian Sherman. And when Brian made it known that he was going to retire after a very long and fantastic service to this town and community, I said to him that I think I want this job. And so I took the opportunity, and I was fortunate enough to be working with the town and with the highway department and to see how Brian operated. So I really got a chance to really see from both sides, from my side as a heavy equipment operator and a staff member, but also from a management standpoint. And I want to continue to do this, and like I said, it's a career move for me. I'd like to see myself in this position for at least another 10 years if I could do it.
Okay. Mike, why are you running for the role of highway superintendent?
I'm running to make this island a safer place for my grandchildren and yours out there. And I think I can be a good team player for the crew. And I'm definitely like a problem solver to try to look and make things work a little better. And just to keep the roads safe for everybody, looking into our town landings. And I think I can do a pretty good job.
You do number one?
I did.
Okay. What is your vision for the Highway Department and Recycling Center for the next year?
Well, my vision is to continue the work that we've already done, we've already begun in the last 2 years that I've been in the position. Continue to do, on the highway department side of it, we continue to clear the roadsides. We are going to continue to upgrade town landings. I've done 5 upgrades in the last 2 years since I've been in office to the town landings to make them a better access point for not only the public, but for emergency use. We continue to work with our state funding for road paving projects, and we've done quite a bit of road paving in the last 2 years. Anyone that's out on the road can see that. And we will continue to cut back the road shoulders. The shoulder, I know, is a major issue for everybody, and we've done a number of areas on the island. Most recently, we've just moved out of Silver Beach, and we will continue to do more areas as we move forward. As far as the recycling center goes, I'd like to see us to continue to look for other ways, and we're going to have to look for other ways because with the closing of Brookhaven, the construction debris, and eventually with the closing of Brookhaven to taking the ash from the incinerators, there's going to be a cost measure for us here. It's going to trickle down to us. So we're going to have to look at new ways to possibly maybe recycle some of that construction material and some of what we have in the C&D pile, et cetera.
Mike, rebuttal?
No.
No.
What was the question again?
The question is, what is your vision for the Highway Department and Recycling Center for the next year?
For the recycling center, I like to try to get more reusable stuff that we can process and get a little extra money in that. And then for the up at the roads, everything's running real good because we have a really good team out there. And just keep on reusing, repurpose our recycling area.
Okay. All right, Mike. Earlier this year, many residents were unhappy with the closing of the recycling center to pickers. Some are still unhappy. Should the town make this available again in a safe manner, and if yes, how?
Yes, I'd like to open up the pickers because I think we can make it as safe like years ago for the elders and new people that need scraps or something that can't just run off island when you want. So I think we can make a safe area back there, reposition stuff, and then to have the hours. Just keep the hours as we're going, and I think we can make it work.
Ken?
Well, I think everybody knows how I feel about that because it's something I took care of right from the jump when I came into office. I feel very strongly about 2 things when it comes to the construction debris and the metal piles. Safety is paramount, and I also think it's my job as the superintendent and the commissioner of public works to do what's in the best interest of the town and to prevent us from, experience a lawsuit and to keep us out of litigation. I do think that I made improvements in the last year and a half down at the recycling center by enhancing the Goodie area, expanding it. We basically did a full renovation of it, new roof, painted it, new shelving, and all that stuff was done in-house, by the way. And I think I have expanded it. I've also, in closing the metal recycling area to the public for picking, we've also managed to have almost a 20% increase in revenues from the metal that we take out.
All right, thank you. Ken, what are your plans to mitigate flooding on town roads from stormwater and tidal water?
Well, we've done a number of catch basin projects on the island. I think we're up to almost a dozen now. So that's part of our road runoff. how we deal with that. Those are the catch basins that you see go in the ground with a grate for water to be taken off the road and be, and go back into the ground and be distributed. As far as coastal flooding goes, I am working with the town engineer, and there is a long-term plan that we look on the capital planning committee, and also trying to fund it about trying to come up with a road raising strategy in certain problem areas, mostly Ram Island Road right before the first causeway, and on West Neck Road, which everybody knows sort of traditionally are the high flood areas for coastal flooding. Those are very expensive things to do. In order to raise the roads significantly, you're talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's a matter of working with an engineering group. We might even have to bring in the Army Corps for some of that too, to try to figure out the best way to do that. But in the meantime, I think we try to put as many catch basins in the ground as we possibly can.
Mike, your plans to mitigate flooding on town roads from stormwater and tidal water?
Well, I would be, once I get into position, I would definitely on heavy storms, go out, see where is the problems, and try to solve it as best as we can by putting in catch basins like we are doing, and just trying to find a problem solving of that particular area, and asking questions with other people.
All right. Final question. Mike, the goodie pile is only open during limited times of the day, and the hours are not currently posted on the town website. How can this asset be made more accessible to the public?
Well, I would definitely keep the hours. The hours and everything are working great down there. And yeah, if we can just put more letters out to the paper, and we definitely have a huge website out there that people can start monitoring a little more. And then that way we can just keep everybody notified.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, communication is paramount, and I apologize for that if that isn't on the website. I mean, I know we have hours posted on the exits and entrances of the building. I think for the most part, I think everybody sort of knows the hours at the goodie pile. It's a very popular area that a lot of folks go to, but you can always do a better job with communication. It's one thing I've prided myself on in coming in to this position and trying to get the word out to the public about whatever it is we're doing, whether it's paving projects, roadside cutting projects, anything, catch basin work, and talking to local, homeowners, especially in those areas where we're doing that work.
Okay. You have 2 minutes now for a closing statement. And keep your eye on the gallery.
Me?
You.
Okay. Well, the first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters and the school, obviously, for hosting this forum. It's been a long time since I've done any of this. Last time I think I sat up on this stage doing this was when I was on the school board here. But what I want to just say is I think I want to reiterate something I said earlier, that this is a career move for me. This isn't just a one-off for me. It's something that I've thought about for a long period of time here. Most of you, if you don't know, my mother and father served this community for almost 30 years as elected officials. And believe it or not, I learned a lot around those kitchen tables and those dinner tables and the phone conversations that my parents had with people. And my mother warned me of all this, said you're going to be in the IGA and someone's going to ask you a question and you're going to be trapped at the post office. And I said, well, all right, I get it. And she was right, and I am, but you know what? That's part of being a public servant. It's part of what we do here in this community. I've lived here my whole life. I raised my son here, and I asked the questions when I was in this position with Brian and Jay. I asked questions all the way through, and I think I'm as well prepared for this job. And I think I've just gotten started, and I really hope that come November that you'll put me back in so I continue the work I've already started.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mike?
Thank you for everybody for coming out. I'm running for highway superintendent because I want a safer, better island for my grandchildren and yours. This is a community that works together to get things done. The highway department is instrumental in everyday operations. I've worked in a highway department for 20 years. and I run my own small business. I'm not an actor or a performer. I am not a public speaker, but what I am is the right person for the job. I've been working to improve this town my whole life. I've managed crews my entire working life. I was elected as fire department commissioner. I'm also an active member of the fire police. I will be a hands-on superintendent, but this is not about me. This is a department ran for decades on a schedule of proper maintenance. When we return to that process, good things will happen. I can see room for improvement, a smarter recycling center, improvement on our roads and town landings. I will make changes. I can solve problems with the input from my crews. I will make more access to repurpose, reuse, and recycle at the recycling center. I will protect the future and honor the past. We need to put safety first. Many roads need evaluation, repairs, and taking back the shoulders. Our town landings are extremely important for safety and recreation. I will make changes that benefit the future, my team, the community, and the budget. I will create a community feedback group. I will sit down with people who want to offer expert knowledge and residents who want to offer details on the history of the island's infrastructure. I am here to serve everyone. This is a community. This is about us as a community. I will work for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Our two candidates for town clerk. And then you must be number two. Okay, so we have Shelby Mundy and Amber Wilson. Same question for both of you. Shelby, why are you running for town clerk?
Thank you for that question. Yes, I just want to quickly introduce myself. My name is Shelby Mundy, and I'm running for town clerk. I grew up on this island. Fun fact, senior year, I graduated from Shelter Island High School senior year. I played Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz on this exact stage. So I've worked for the town now for the last 7 years as the senior account clerk in the supervisor's office. And so I've really gained that day-to-day experience of how the town operates and how it functions. And when I looked at the town clerk's office, I saw a lot of things that I thought could be improved. And so that's what pushed me to run, because I think that the town clerk's office should be more efficient, more accessible, and really focus on that community connection so that you, the people of this island, feel more aware and connected to what's going on in town hall today. I think right now it can be really confusing to follow everything that's going on, and I think it's incumbent on the town clerk to kind of be the link between the community and what is happening in our local government. Thanks.
Amber, why are you running for re-election?
History again. In 2022, I filled the position of retired Sharon Jacobs. And with that, Dottie trained me to run the town clerk's office. Town clerk's office is the bridge between the community and your local government. I believe it should be efficient and personal. Building a future-ready office with Shelter Island character is my main priority. I have shown that bipartisan collaboration is possible and will remain bipartisan as long as I am in that office.
Thank you. Shelby, what is your vision for the town clerk's office for the next year if you are elected?
Great question. So my vision for the next year, if I pivot back to my priorities, the efficiency, the accessibility, and the preservation and focusing on the community. As far as efficiency goes, I really think one of the main things I'll do is expand our office hours. Right now, the town clerk's office is only open Monday through Friday from 9 to 4. And that's not helpful for a lot of people. We have a lot of people here that work off island, and also a lot of second homeowners, a lot of visitors that come out on a Saturday. And not having the office open is really a big detriment for people being able to go in and get done what they need to get done. As far as accessibility goes, I really want to make it more easy for people to understand what's going on, which is something I mentioned in my opener. I think it's an important thing we could do, and especially as the town clerk, what I would do is write up high-level summaries of these work sessions and these board meetings. Not everyone has 4, 5, 6 hours to sit there and either go to a meeting or watch the recording. So I think it's important for the town clerk to kind of summarize these meetings so people still know the information and they can, focus on the points that are in those summaries if they want to listen to a meeting and to get more information that way. And finally, as far as preservation, I think it's really important for the town clerk to work with other organizations in the community. We really need to have more collaboration between places like the school, the library, the history museum, all of our local organizations. We really need to all come together, and I think the town clerk is the perfect person to, bridge that gap.
Thank you. Amber? Your vision?
Envisioning. So I have already started the accessibility. We have thousands of documents that need to be accessible to the public. That is crucial. That is one of the communications that we all strive for. Community outreach, yes, it does need to be improved. Within office hours, within my 4-year term, I have not heard an outcry of longer business hours. I closed Saturdays to save taxpayer money that only were there to issue daily parking permits. And with doing that, we saved over $3,000. We have made that accessible parking permits that we were only open for Saturdays online, that it was all accessible online for the parking permits. I have, for the past 2 years, started this digitization project. And even with the insufficient equipment, I moved forward. I am purchasing the large format scanner to get those larger documents, maps, and everything put through our newly adopted Laserfish software program. As in collaborating with other people, other businesses, in 2023, I reached out to New York Archives to try to make an agreement with the Shelter Island Historical Museum for these documents, which they advised against. I tried to, New York State Archives wanted a legal agreement. Now, with that said, we went from a town attorney to no town attorney to an interim town attorney, now to a new town attorney. And now I can get started on implementing that legal agreement, which would help preserve and all these documents. Also going forward, I have a meeting with the grant writer next week to start moving forward with grant funds for the New York State Archives to either preserve, train, or storage, because the storage is insufficient as well.
Thank you. Okay, Amber. How can the town clerk's office better communicate with all age groups within the community on important topics, notices, or announcements? For example, not everyone reads the printed newspaper, not everyone is computer savvy, and not everyone is on Facebook or other kinds of social media.
As I stated before, community outreach is something that I am looking forward. Currently, it's just in the newspaper, online, and in the media. And I have been trying to research what other ways we can. If anyone has any preference, please let me know.
Okay. Shelley, any rebuttal?
Yeah, so I think the communication is key here, right? And we can do this in a way that doesn't cost money to the taxpayers. I have thought of a few solutions that are free. One being just increasing our general output of social media posts. I think it's, that's an easy solution. Unfortunately, not everyone is on social media, so another thing that we could do is try to host more open houses or info sessions to get people the information that way. I also think another solution would be going to places like the senior center or the nutrition program maybe once a month and informing people that way so that all these things can help spread the word.
Great. Shelby, The town clerk's office receives many Freedom of Information Law or FOIL requests for documents. The clerks sometimes struggle to fulfill these requests. How do you think you might improve this process if you're elected?
That's a great question. Yes, so the only way right now to get information is by filing a FOIL request, which can be a long and tedious process. So that's where digitizing our documents comes into play. And I think right now if you were to go onto the town website, there is nowhere on there to access these records and these documents. So you do have to file a FOIL request. I really think what is necessary first is coming up with a plan. How are we going to organize these boxes of records that we have in the storage room? I think that's the first thing, that's the first step we need to take. Then after we get that, we need to digitize the records so that way they're online on a platform where people can easily go onto and search what they need to find. So that way they don't need to file a FOIL request, and that way, it frees up time for the different departments that have to go and find that information. I know especially the building department is just swamped with filling these requests for people. So if we get all that information online, it will hopefully eliminate or at least lower that for the departments, and it'll help improve the accessibility for you, the constituents.
Thank you. Amber, any improvements to the FOIL requests?
So as I serve as FOIL officer, I provide responses to their inquiries quickly. I have 20 days by law. I fill them within a week, regardless of if I have to go and search through these boxes or scan 30 pages of documents. Also with this is why I have moved towards Laserfiche, which we implemented. We have been digitizing documents. They are indexed, and now we are working to get that forward-facing on the website.
Okay. Amber, last question. The town clerk's office used to have Saturday morning hours during the summer months. This was discontinued 2 years ago. Should the office have more flexible hours, and why or why not?
Again, I closed on Saturdays because we were only issuing parking permits during that time. I did not find it plausible to have overtime of, like I said, over $3,000 to do this. We save taxpayer money because that was overtime, and you get time and a half. In 2022, we sold 56 parking permits. 2023, we sold 52. That does not justify $3,000 worth of taxpayer dollars. The collaboration with the police department, as I stated, daily parking permits are available on Purchase on Town. And going forward, I just got approval from the town board that these parking permits can be purchased online in advance for seasonal and resident.
Okay. Shelby?
So my argument here is that we don't need to be open in a way that causes overtime. It's just simply staggering the work hours. So someone in the office that works, Tuesday through Saturday, there's a way to do it so that it's not paying overtime. It's just rejiggering our hours. And if that means that I have to stay late to fulfill that, I'm going to do that for the residents, because I think that we need to be accessible for the people when they need it.
Okay. Shelby, your closing statement?
Can I say that also?
You may.
Thank you. I just want to thank the League of Women Voters and thank everyone here tonight. I'm running for town clerk because I think this office should be more than just a place where you go to pick up your beach stickers and your garbage bags. It's about people's experience with their local government. How well the office is being run is a direct connection to how people feel and how easy it is for you to get things done. We can't keep doing things the way they've always been done if it's not the best way. I will make the office more efficient. I will expand the office hours, modernize our processes, and offer more online transactions, because something like that is important for our working families. And even though I will be present in the office every day, I plan to train and empower our staff so that they can also give people the help that they deserve. I will increase accessibility. not just being transparent for transparency's sake, but by being clear and useful so that people actually know what's going on and how they can participate. And I will preserve the records, because those are the stories that define who we are as a community. I will work with places like the library, the school, the history museum, and other local organizations to keep our history alive. The town clerk shouldn't just sit behind a desk. She should be a presence in the community. I grew up on this island. I'm lucky to be raising my family here, and I've worked for the town now for the last 7 years. I know the town clerk's office can do better. It just starts with showing up every day, taking initiative, and having leadership skills. Because the town clerk's office should work for the people, making things easier to make your voices stronger and making you feel connected to the issues shaping our town today. As town clerk, I will lead an office that is connected to our community and focused on the future. Thank you.
Okay. Amber?
I'm not stating that. Thank you all for being here. For the past 17 years, I've lived on Sheltrine, raising my daughters with my fiance, Adam Tilberg, and serving this community with pride. I'm not running on party lines, I'm running on a proven record. For nearly 4 years now, I've served in the town clerk's office and led the office through a seamless transition with Mrs. Ogar after a retirement of 64 years of exceptional service, community service. I ensured continuity, providing the same quality and standard of service the community has come to rely on. The road has not been easy. When Town Hall faced turnover of board members, followed by no attorney, an interim town attorney, to a new town attorney, I stayed steady. When the staffing equipment fell short, I kept moving forward and continued to bring the office to the digital age. I'm launching Laserfiche, an archival program to digitize records and improve access by making them available to the public through the website. There is a lot of behind-the-scenes work that needs to happen before the archive is ready for public access. It's not flashy work, but it's foundational. For those without technology, my office will ensure that no one is left behind. We meet people where they are, with connection, compassion, and clarity. I have served as Register of Vital Statistics, Records Management Officer, Freedom of Information Officer, and Notary Public. I've managed sensitive records, worked under pressure, and led with accuracy, confidentiality, and procedure. I'm proud to collaborate with other clerks, pursue continuing education, and work towards my registered municipal clerk certification. I've supported transitions of elected officials and built strong relationships across the town departments. The town clerk's office isn't ceremonial. It's legal, operational, and foundational. It's not just another job or a bigger paycheck. It's a responsibility I've carried under pressure and a role where the law does not allow for error. I'm not here to figure it out. I know the job, and I'm here to raise the standard. With your support, I'll continue to bring the same precision, professionalism, transparency, and dedication I've shown, because our citizens of the town deserve nothing less.
Thank you all. Okay, we're going to take a short break. There are volunteers with little baskets. If you haven't already put a question in the basket and you have a question for any of the candidates, please find Alice or any of the others that are circulating. When you write up your question, if you want it to go to either a specific individual or a specific office, please indicate that on the card. We'll be back in 10 minutes, to review the questions.
Applause for Joanne Rabati, who is doing an amazing job. Thank you so much.
Okay. This is for our current supervisor, Amber Brock-Williams. Amber, would you consider hiring a town manager to run the town more efficiently now and into the future? They have a minute. A minute.
Okay, not much you can say in a minute. Right now, I would say no. This year's budget, I kept it as tight as possible. I don't want to do anything that's going to add more costs to the town budget. I think we need to just continue trying to hold the line on things, be more efficient, be more proactive in how the town board handles things, make sure, we get a town board that does their homework so that we can move things along faster and we can accomplish more with what we have.
Okay. For Mr. Ryder, how much approximately is in the Highway Department Reserve Fund, and what are your plans for its use?
I don't know exactly how much is in here.
Mike's off.
Mike?
That's not transparency.
That's all he has to say about that.
Now you're on. Can I just have the question again, please?
How much approximately is in the Highway Reserve Fund, and what are your plans for its use?
Well, I don't know exactly how much is in the reserve funds at all, but once I get into office, I'll find out, and we'll figure out a way to use it the best way we can and try to save some money on the long run with it.
Okay. For the 2 supervisor and 3 board candidates, what is your position on expanding public water, specifically Suffolk County Water Authority?
I guess I got the hot mic. I think it really depends on the area and what we're looking to do. In the center, I do think that we will eventually need a municipal water system, something to handle the town buildings. If we ever want to do any upgrades or renovations to those buildings, we have too much of a challenge between all of the wells, the septic systems, and the cemetery. Health department requires 200 feet from a cemetery before you can have a potable well, and for a community well, that's kind of critical. We can't get that. So I do think that in some instances, it may need to be considered. Next.
Anybody else for a town board candidate? Tom?
Smuggle? So for me, I mean, you've heard me say it probably, that I'm not in favor of Suffolk County Water Authority, and there's one reason for that. That is a simple little clause that if you're within 150 feet of that supply, you're mandated to tie into it if you do a substantial renovation or you're building a new house. And I don't like the fact that, once again, overreach, where if I have perfectly potable water on my house and it's perfect and I do an expansion, why should I have to give up that good water and get possibly less quality water from them and have to pay for it?
Amber, you wanted it?
Amber and or Gordon?
Can I? Yeah, I'd love to. Thanks so much. I think that there are situations where small, public water systems can be useful when we already have a few. And similar to what Meg was saying, I think that the center is most likely, it's definitely something that we're going to need to consider. We should use it as a tool in our toolkit. There's areas where it will be appropriate, areas it won't be, but it's not something that we should take off the table.
Amber or Gordon?
Joanne, could you just repeat that one more time?
What is your position on expanding public water, specifically the Suffolk County Water Authority?
Okay. I'm really coming from a position at this point, we really do not need public water. I think that when we had a lot of conversations on septics here, septics and water are this really tied to each other, okay? But I think, if we look at the papers here recently with Suffolk County Water, trying to take water from from over by Riverhead and running a pipe down to Southall, and you saw that there's a suit that will be taking place where Suffolk County Water thinks that they supersede the codes of the town. So my feeling is, until you can prove to me that we're really in need of it, and if that's the situation, I'm all in, not necessarily with Suffolk County Water, but with a public water system of some type.
Amber?
I recognize too that Riverhead and Southhold do have that conflict, and that is something that we need to watch very carefully to make sure how that gets resolved and what the implication could be for Shelter Island. I think in the future there may be a need for public water in very limited areas, so we should only bring in public water where needed and not island-wide. I do think that Suffolk County Water Authority has been doing a good job with the West Neck Water District. When we tried to run a water district on our own, we kept having to kick the can down the road on improvements because we were trying to accumulate the money, and then we'd get to the point we have enough money and then the cost had already gone up, and so we had to kick the can down. So bringing in Suffolk County Water Authority, we didn't have to worry about staffing. They're here every day. Deering Harbor has had a really good experience with them. But all of that said, we need to make sure that we keep an eye on how Riverhead and Southhold work out and button down exactly if we have to do something in the future.
Thank you. For our two highway superintendent candidates, is any progress being made to provide bike lanes, particularly on Route 114?
Well, I know bike lanes are a hot topic. I've actually been in contact with the regional DOT manager to come out with his team. He came out with 3 engineers. We toured 114 north to south. They were here for about 2 hours with me, and we are in the queue, they tell me, to try to get our resurfacing of 114 done, which hasn't been done since 1977, by the way, which is good in some ways and bad in others. It's held up pretty well. But what we've looked at is, and what the engineers tell me is really the most viable for us would be to open our shoulders on both sides of 114 if you look at the wider areas of 114 where we have a significant shoulder, the hope would be to create that both on the northbound lane and the southbound lane, in addition to resurfacing the whole area. So I know it's a topic, and that's also, I'm sorry, I didn't see this.
Mike, anything to add? Wait for the mic. Wait for the mic, Mike.
Yeah, I agree with Kenny and everything with the state. I would just keep on pressuring the state so we can have a good bike line, bicycle lanes, and walking for everybody along 114. But just keep on pressuring them so at least they'll do something. They've done it everywhere else except for here, so just keep on the pressure.
Thank you. Amber, where is the fiscal year 2024 audited budget? Why hasn't it been released? All we've seen is a draft.
It is still currently on my desk, and the reason for it is that we did get it earlier to me this year, and as I was starting to review it, I did find some things that I want to change. Last year, I did rewrite a substantial portion of the management discussion and analysis, so it's an area that I want to look at because it is the town's management MD&A, not the auditors. So I want to make sure that that is accurate. I also found an error, so I need to go back to the auditors to fix that error. So we've been heavily into budget season. I did get the budget to the town board 3 weeks earlier. I thought we would be done with the budget at least 3 weeks earlier, and here we are up against the deadline. So as soon as we can get this budget wrapped up at the end of this week, then I will turn my attention back to the financial statements.
Thank you. Gordon, in your closing statement, you said you want to control expenses, but we haven't heard any specifics about how you would do that. Please give us several concrete examples.
I'm sorry.
You want me to repeat the question?
One more time, please.
Sure. In your closing statement, You said you want to control expenses, but we haven't heard any specifics about how you plan to do this. Please give us several concrete examples.
Well, I said something earlier today about how during the budget season, okay, the Shelter Island School is really now examining their budget for their vote in May. I really believe we should start the budgeting season earlier, okay? And I see no reason why we can't have an audit earlier in August like it had been done in early administrations. But they're how you save money, okay, is you pay, I would pay close attention to that budget. It would be next to me every day. And when we put aside an item such as a $70,000 item that was there for expenses this year, and it ran over by 100,000, okay, that wouldn't happen with me. Or if it did, I would make sure the town board, or there was some explanation as to why that occurs. Thank you.
In 2026, we will mark the 250th anniversary of the United States. It's a pivotal moment of history. Yet Shelter Island is the only town on the East End that does not, as required by law, have a town historian. What is your plan? These are obviously for the two supervisor candidates.
We have been working on trying to find a historian. We at one point did look to see whether or not we could bring in the Historical Society as the town historian. Unfortunately, it has to be a designated person, and a few of the people that we did reach out to were not interested. So if there's anyone out in the community who has an interest, please come forward.
Just my position with it is that we have not had one for a long time, and it's one of those things that we really should have. But on the other side of the historian for the town, I really would promote very heavily having a preservation committee that would look at our historic buildings here so we could save structures here on the island that go back many years. Thank you.
Okay. Question for Mike Ryder. When elected to highway superintendent and in charge of the landfill, actually not a landfill anymore, recycling center, what would you do to see that our recyclables are being properly recycled off of Shelter Island?
I would go ahead, like at the goodie pile and everything, because we have books and everything. I like to try to recycle those instead of them getting into our C&D. So we're looking into putting them in boxes so they can get recycled properly. Pretty much all the other stuff that is down at the facility is getting recycled properly off island. And then I like to try to do a little more on the e-waste that we have, is putting more bins together, like for the cell phones and the computers, to make more revenue of transporting that particular material.
Tom Cronin. We repeatedly hear you say you would get into office and work hard to make things happen. What role does knowledge play?
I think my wife wrote that question.
Or one of your children.
So, what role? I think it plays a very important role. And I don't think that some of the board members there now put in enough effort to find the knowledge that they need, or just don't make informed decisions. So I take exception to that question, but yes, I would be doing a lot of research and getting the answers that I think need to be found, and not so much just flake it off and say, well, we're not equipped to handle this.
For the town board, should the town code restrict clear cutting of lots, including town trees adjacent to the lots?
No.
So I was on a subcommittee once, and we did actually start to look at this problem. So people do get very upset when you clear cut a lot. Of course they do. Most people have vacant lots next to them and expect them to stay vacant in perpetuity. However, that person who owns that lot has a right to build on it. So it's a matter of finding the balance. right? I've looked at codes in North Haven, I've looked at codes in East Hampton, Southampton, and there are a number of different ways to handle it. There are pros and cons to these different ways, and we've been speaking to the different jurisdictions to see what works in their code and what doesn't work. But it's also complicated and compounded by all of the requirements that the town puts on homeowners for dry wells and septic systems, and there's a lot of setbacks to trees for all of those requirements. So we are working on it. It's something that Tim and I have had conversations about, but it's not an easy, quick fix.
Hold on to the mic.
Oh.
For Meg. You have stated that the town should wait until it has a master plan for a municipal complex before cleaning up the town buildings with IAs. Sorry, I had a little problem with the handwriting. You call it good money after bad. Why do you think the town should wait any longer since a grant was awarded 2 years ago?
So I think that in order to responsibly use that grant money to its maximum potential, we need to have a comprehensive plan for what we're doing. I did the math on the nitrate calculations for both the Justice Court and the Police Department, and they are the least contributing buildings in our town municipal buildings to the nitrate problem. The library was a big contributor, and that has been solved. The school was a huge contributor, and that has been solved. And I think that before we go and spend money on a system, we need to make sure that that system is going to be able to handle whatever that building is going to be designed to do in the future. Otherwise, we're spending money on a system that's then going to have to be replaced with a different system. So until we have a comprehensive plan on what we're doing, it would be irresponsible to use the money at this point in time.
Okay, and speaking of comprehensive plan, our last question for our 2 supervisor candidates. There has not been much progress in the last 2 years on the comprehensive plan. What will you do to move it forward?
I would disagree that there hasn't been progress in the past 2 years, because we did spend work session after work session last year going through chapter by chapter. Then we got into budget season last year. We've started to bring it back onto the work session. As I stated earlier, there was a little bit of pushback from the town board that it was not something that was a priority at the time. But behind the scenes, Meg and I have been working with the clerk for making sure that all of those updates to the plan get made according to all of the comments that we've gotten last year, and that will be forthcoming soon.
Okay, sorry. With the comprehensive plan, it's interesting how we have these delays and we're working on it, and it hasn't been a priority, and we find all the reasons not to move things forward. I'm going to address the comprehensive plan, but I just want to say something about our municipal buildings and the waste that's there. How as a town can we look at our community and ask people to put IA systems in when in fact,
Gordon, you only have 30 seconds. Why don't you answer the question?
With a comprehensive plan, it really needs to be reviewed, and we can't just have 2 people write a comprehensive plan, which is what we've been having going on. I think we need to really look at it and bring it back to the table and have some new faces, and so that we can get something going. But we need to move it forward for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, every one of you. You've been incredibly fabulous. And I appreciate it. Thank you all.
I'm going to be there on Thursday. Yeah, if you want to, I mean, the office will be open.